Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Vivimos juntos.
We live united.
We live united. I live united.
Hello and welcome to Live United, a show that explores how, when community partnerships are formed and when people work together, lives are changed for the better. I'm Milton Little, president of United Way of Metropolitan Atlanta and the host of Live United. Today we're going to sit down with representatives of a campaign you may or may not have heard of, but which has a huge presence in Metro Atlanta. It's called the Combined Federal Campaign, and it includes some 48,000 federal employees who donate and volunteer each year across the region. This year, they celebrate 50 years of working with United Way and some 300 other nonprofits. This group has accounted for about $75 million of investments in local communities since 1986. The Combined Federal Campaign is the most inclusive workplace giving campaign in the world, and we're excited to have representatives in the studio to talk about their excellent and important work. Next, we'll check in with Monica Hammond, United Way 211's Marketing Outreach Manager, and she'll give us an update on how things are going with the 211 call center, which took in 400,000 calls last year. That's a lot of calls, and we'll learn about what those calls are all about. We have an exciting show, so let's get started. And I'm happy to have Dr. Renard Murray, the chair of the Atlanta Federal Executive Board and regional administrator for the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare. I don't know how it fits on one card. And Veronica Sinkfield, 2011 chair of the Combined Federal Campaign and regional administrator for the United States Department of Labor. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for all of the support that you provide to the community through your partnership with United Way. But let's talk about this Combined Federal Campaign and just how it's structured, who's involved and everything. So we'll start with you, Renard. Why don't you just give a brief history of the Combined Federal Campaign?
Well, the Combined Federal Campaign came into existence as a result of the signing of an executive order by President Kennedy back in the early 60s. Mm-hmm. And what he did, he recognized that there were employees in the federal sector that were not just in the D.C. area. There were pockets of employees throughout the country. And he said at that point, well, we need to do something to support those federal employees. So he created the federal executive boards, which Atlanta is one of those federal executive boards, to provide a lot of support to those employees in those communities. And through that support, we provide them with training, education, job retention, and other types of opportunities. In addition to that, charitable giving is a major part of the Federal Executive Board, which brings forth the Combined Federal Campaign. It's providing services, as you mentioned, to about 100 federal agencies throughout Atlanta and throughout the 42 counties throughout Metropolitan Atlanta.
So the Federal Executive Board sort of oversees what happens in the campaign, just what's the institutional relationship between the two?
It provides the oversight, but it also provides the coordination piece with all of the federal agencies.
Okay. And 100 federal agencies?
Over 100.
Wow.
Well over 100.
That's pretty incredible. It's been around for 50 years. Has the giving been a part of sort of the mandate of this Federal Executive Board for all that time?
Yes, the giving part is pretty much governed by the Office of Personnel Management outside of D.C.
Okay.
So they direct all of our activities in terms of the giving part of the federal campaign. Okay. But it's been an integral part of our history for, as you mentioned, more than 50 years now.
Right. And we refer to this as the most inclusive campaign in the world. What's that really mean?
Well, there's more than 200 combined federal campaigns throughout the nation, including worldwide, because we do have entities in the federal government that are located worldwide. And so within that inclusion piece, all those federal campaigns are combined into one to create the Combined Federal Campaign.
Gotcha. And just the aggregate sort of fundraising across the whole nation, or I guess globally, what can anybody sort of understand the total giving to be on a given year?
Yeah, exactly. And I'll let Veronica talk a little bit about that giving piece, because she's our chair this year.
Yes,
Excited
actually,
about that.
You mentioned in the intro that there was approximately $77 million of giving in the Metropolitan Atlanta campaign, which is absolutely correct, since 1986. Over the large scale, the campaign has collected over $7 billion nationally to support communities throughout the nation.
That's an inspiring number.
Yes,
there must be tons and tons of volunteers, tons and tons of federal employees who just generously give like that.
Yes.
Must be wonderful for you to sort of now take this role, at least in Metro Atlanta, of chairing the 2011 campaign.
I am truly excited to have the opportunity to maintain the forward momentum that has already been so successful in the past 50 years for this campaign.
What are some of the local organizations that get to participate in the campaign?
Some of the local organizations include Joey's Toys for Tots, which is a small organization that supports children and families that are battling cancer. There are larger organizations as well, such as the United Negro College Fund, the Atlanta Humane Society, and of course the American Red Cross. So there are several.
So how does an organization get to be part of this campaign?
Yes. Through the Federal Executive Board, as Dr. Murray mentioned, there's an application process that begins in the spring of each year where charities can actually apply to become a part of the charitable organizations that CFC recognizes through a very rigid eligibility criteria.
Yeah, and with that application process, it normally opens up in February. We have like a 5 to 6 week window period of time for individuals, or not individuals, but organizations, nonprofits, and charitable organizations to apply. And the federal employees that actually run the combined federal campaign are the ones that are looking at the application. And the interesting thing about it, Milton, is that once the applications have been vetted through, we provide those employees in the federal sector, some 48,000 employees throughout the Metropolitan Atlanta, with a list of organizations that have been approved. And it's not just the Atlanta metro area, but it's national and international organizations that are also included. There's a robust panel of organizations that we can contribute to and provide support to the combined federal campaign.
So somebody in Metro Atlanta has an opportunity to support an organization somewhere else, outside of Metro Atlanta.
Exactly, across the world.
Well, that's pretty exciting, And it must be, I can only imagine how rigorous the process is, because there are nonprofits every day that are coming to United Way for support, and I know you probably get your doors knocked on continuously as well.
Yeah, but the beauty of it is the commitment of the federal employees that actually run this, because they take this task on and they're very serious about it. And very committed to kind of giving back to the community. So this is our way of giving back to our community as well.
Veronica, I mentioned earlier relationship with United Way that
Yes.
CFC has. Could you say a little bit about that?
Yes, actually the Atlanta United Way has a relationship with the CFC through contract, where basically United Way provides fiscal management and day-to-day oversight of our fiscal matters that support the campaign. Quite successful relationship. In addition to that, the ongoing collections and the reporting of that data is handled by United Way as well.
And we've been excited to be able to do that. But folks in your shops have been incredible partners in this, loan executives and others who are really out there making good things happen.
Yes, most definitely.
You got a 50-year anniversary that is being celebrated. Say a little bit about what it means to CFC, to the Federal Executive Board, to the employees, the federal employees, and then how are you celebrating?
Yes, our 50th anniversary of the CFC is certainly a momentous event. It definitely is. We plan on being able to continue to encourage our federal community to give and to share and to care. I am just increasingly amazed by the fortitude of federal community to continue to support our charitable organizations. And even in this period of austerity, just the depth and the caring and heart that's being demonstrated by collections. So we are going to continue along that vein. And in this 50th anniversary, we have lots of activities and events for the communities at large, and also for our charitable organizations to get to know those that are actually supporting the campaign.
So what would an event, a celebratory event, sort of look like? What kind of things would you be doing?
In the very near future, we'll be doing our kickoff, so we're excited about that. And balloons, music, fun, and I guess just today, we are focusing on an opportunity to go and visit the charity. So we're having a charity bus tour planned, and we're excited about that. And that's when the charities have an opportunity to meet those that are working with the Combined Federal Campaign, and that the loaned executives have an opportunity to truly understand what the charities are doing.
Well, that's pretty exciting.
And through the board, we're very excited to have the Department of Labor leading it this year, because last year it was, we had the Government Services Administration actually leading the campaign. And interestingly enough, we thought that we would not meet our goals last year because of the economic conditions and other things that were happening. To our amazement, we exceeded our goals last year. We collected over $4.1 million alone just in the Atlanta metro area. And even though that may sound like a small amount of money, it averages a little over $300 per federal employee. And when you look at what that does, for instance, like in a homeless situation with a homeless woman or a homeless child living in a shelter, it provides 20 nights of food and shelter for that person. Or if you look at a soup kitchen, it provides bread for that soup kitchen for over a year. Tremendous amounts of benefits just to giving back to the community. So we're excited about celebrating our 50th year there.
And you mentioned $300 sort of a per capita rate. Are people expected to give? Are they required to give? Or is this really voluntary?
The contributions to the CFC are completely voluntary. Coercion is forbidden. We encourage employees to donate and give them the opportunity to choose. As Dr. Murray mentioned, we have a charitable giving guide where the federal employees can actually choose the charity of their liking, and also ensure that their donation is going to the charity that means the most to them, that's most important to them.
I said in the intro, this is a campaign that many people may or may not have heard of. The 50-year anniversary gives you really an opportunity to showcase this and probably build a lot more public awareness. And you probably get a lot more nonprofits who will be coming knocking on the door as well.
Exactly.
But the CFC is not the only thing that the Federal Executive Board is responsible for. What else takes up a part of your day or is in the job description for you as the chief administrator?
Well, we have a lot of things at the Federal Executive Board, and it excites us to kind of service, if you would, the federal employees throughout Metro Atlanta. We do a lot of work in terms of doing blood drives and food drives for our community to make sure that we're giving there as well. We also encourage our employees in their spare time to volunteer for charitable kind of activities and other types of things. But in addition to that, Milton, the other thing that we're so proud of is we train our federal employees. There's a huge training process that the Federal Executive Board provides to all federal agencies throughout Metropolitan Atlanta. We also celebrate them through honoring them in terms of their achievements, their accomplishments. We have a huge event at the end of every year just to celebrate the things that the federal employees throughout Metro Atlanta have done to give back to the community as well as their activities. And then in addition to that, we're constantly working at ways to improve the morale and the other things that are happening within the federal agencies. Because we've got a tough job ahead of us, but nonetheless, we've got so many committed employees in the federal sector that give every day in their service as well as giving back through the Combined Federal Campaign.
Gotcha. The viewer audience has lots of folks, and I'm convinced that there are a bunch of federal employees out there watching this show. What special message would you want to give them, either about the 50th celebration, about the Combined Federal Campaign generally, or, you've got a platform here. What do you want to tell folks?
I would like to let the federal population at large know that this 50th year anniversary of CFC is an exciting time, that we have themed this year as 50 years of caring, sharing, and giving. I would like to encourage the federal community to continue the past momentum that we discussed before of being successful and accepting those the support for those charitable organizations as we've done in the past for the past 50 years, and to be able to continue to provide services and support and much needed aid to those that depend upon us. This is the 50th year, so please, by all means, tweet, go to your Facebook pages, encourage your co-workers to contribute, to become involved. We'd like to increase participation, as I've mentioned in the past, and we can do that in this 50th year with the support of the audience, of those federal employees, and we're excited. I'd like them to join us in this 50th anniversary and to join us for a great 2011 campaign.
A warm and generous invitation to your federal colleagues. Veronica Singfield, Renard Murray, thanks very much for being here. We're deeply appreciative of the partnership, of the generosity, of the engagement of federal employees. And we want to do what we can to make sure it's no longer a hidden jewel and a quiet secret, but let the community know the difference that you're making.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is truly a pleasure to have folks like this representing the combined federal campaign. It's more than 200 campaigns around the world that annually allow federal employees such as postal workers, such as servicemen and women, civilians and many others to get involved in communities where they live. Our hats go off to these dedicated change agents who go above and beyond to see this country prosper in more ways than one. Here in Metro Atlanta, the United Way is proud to work side by side with federal employees. And we salute the CFC on 50 years of dedicated community service. And we look forward to another 50 years of giving and collaborating so this community and this nation will thrive.